We all know that nostalgia is such a powerful force, so much so that things that you thought were so astounding, when you revisit them, you're like, oh, that actually is not all that good. Or sometimes they actually do hold up, and what you have is this picture in your mind that's so nostalgic, you're like, oh, that was the greatest thing ever. You revisit it, you're like, oh, damn, I was right. I want to create words that capture those two kind of rankings of how these nostalgic ideas that you have rank up. So first off, we have when you revisit something that you thought was great, and it sucked ass, that's a Nostapass, because it's something that has that nostalgic element that lacks the quality that you thought it had, that is ass. Maybe it's the last thing that you want to watch at that point now, even though the last time that you saw it, you thought it was incredible. And realistically, it's pretty still. Those are all the elements of Nostallass. Now for the positive version, we're inserting a P, but not sexually, because we're keeping the nostalgic frame. However, we're taking the L's out of it because it's all good. Which brings us to Nostapass, a nostalgic thing that passes the test. It's that good. There's no L in that thing. It's so fantastic. It's just as good as tapping some ass with Nostapass. So when something that you were so nostalgic about and thought was great lives up to that hype, it is Nostapass. Bam! You get a double word creation for today. Since nostalgia can kind of cloud how you view things, I think it's important to have kind of that plus or minus on revisiting from your initial nostalgic view, and I think these are great words. I do hope we look back on this series as Nostapass, but I would be lying to say that I can look at all of my content and think that. But hey, I think that just means we're getting better. Let's continue to do so on Twip Space. Song of the day is Right Here, Right Now by Fatboy Slim. This song is really armorant. It's one that builds up a lot and just gets kind of increasingly more intense and adds layers to itself. You'll hear it kind of at sports games. You might not know that you know this song, which I made a word for that. A no-new, a fairly recent lesson, still in this month. It's really good for hyping you up and just get the energy pumping. It's a really fun song. I would certainly recommend checking this one out. It's one that I like to play frequently and has surprisingly like a lot of sticking power for me and my listening habits, despite being fairly neat-tease on a base level. Video of the day is a Game of Thrones spoiler, so if you have intentions of watching that show or you're in the middle of it, just ignore the rest of the video. But now that those people are gone, what it is the Clegane brothers fighting at the end of the series. I think this is the second to last episode, in kind of the wreck and ruin of King's Landing, and they finally get to just full on go at each other, the Mountain and the Hound. However, this is edited so that they're using lightsabers as well, which really adds a cool element to this scene. And also it's usually cut up with like other things that are going on in the episode going usually, but those are eliminated with this, and it is so astoundingly epic. I mean, if you've seen Game of Thrones, you probably remember this as being great, and then you can just see it in another cool environment, and I probably don't really even need to be pitching this, but if you haven't, I don't know, just like, it's a good show. Terrible ending, that's the source of Gotserate, but at least we got this moment out of it. That's it for the Daily Do. Peace out.